An overview of Scamper the musical as at February 2021. The production of this new children's stage musical has been on hold for nearly 1 year. Everything was progressing quite swiftly until lockdown 2020. The recordings of the first 2 songs were scheduled to be completed by the end of March 2020. A young lad named Ellis began the initial recording sessions at the Dove Recording Studios in Ipswich on the 12th of March, just 4 days prior to everything closing down. The original target was having all the promotional material completed by the 30th of April 2020. This included a submission of the script plus 2 songs to the LW Theatre Group in the West End of London. They had already made the request for the submission. It's all on hold now. Who knows what will happen in the future? If anybody or group who listens to this slideshow, no matter how small, such a school drama group, please get in touch. It is all free, including any advice about this musical. Scamper the musical synopsis as at February 2021. The entire production of this new children's musical is based upon the 4 existing published books in the Adventures of Young Scamper series, written by Martin D. Talbot between 2003 and 2010. As well as preparing the script for this new musical drama, Martin has also specially written 14 new original songs, as well as composing the already heard Scamper theme music for this production. 2 of the books in the series both reached the national finals of the People's Book Prize, which was held in London on 20th July 2011. A talent television interview of the 2011 awards and each of the 12 finalists is available on YouTube. On behalf of the producer, I am now going to explain the adventures of Young Scamper by giving you an abridged version of each of the 4 stories and how these newly written songs fit into this children's musical drama. Each of the musical's performers, mostly children of all ages, will dress up as various creatures of the forest and the adjoining countryside. This will include both red and grey squirrels, a robin, a ginger tomcat, a fox, a stag and numerous other creatures. The first story act of this musical is a much-loved story by both young and old alike. It is The Red Conker Soup. This story won the People's Book Prize, Summer Session 2010. The setting of this first story takes place in early autumn. Young Scamper, who is a young scatty red squirrel, was only born in the early spring of this year. Scamper has 2 older brothers who are supposed to keep him in check and out of mischief. But let's wait and see if this happens. Scamper has always been told by his mother Mrs. Redfur never to mix with any of the nasty grey squirrels from the Northfield, because he is special, and they are not. Also, any grey squirrel can be taken away at any time by the pest catcher, and will never be seen again. All the red squirrels are protected, and they are special. The grey squirrels are not special at all. Scamper was also told by his mother never to use the footbridge to cross the stream, as it leads to the forbidden Northfield. He must always stay in the Southfield where he belongs. The Northfield is out of bounds to all the red squirrels. Eventually, one morning, Scamper and a friendly grey squirrel meet by chance, down by the footbridge, and they end up having a big disagreement. Scamper tells the grey squirrel what his mother had told him by saying that the red squirrels are much better than the greys, and they must never be seen together. This leads to a bit of a fight with the grey squirrel, when he takes a nasty knock from Scamper, when he throws a very large conker at him, hitting him bang on the nose. The grey squirrel decides it's time to leave and heads for home. Each of the squirrels are very angry and upset over their conversation. The first song of the musical will be sung in 2 sections. The first section of the song is sung by the grey squirrel, as he make his way home with a swollen nose. He cross back over the footbridge into the Northfield, yelling out saying that he will be coming back to the bridge tomorrow at 12 noon. He will teach Scamper a lesson he will never forget. The second section of the song will be sung by Scamper as he watched the grey squirrel retreat. The grey squirrel looks back and up into the sky and shouts out, "Why is he so special?" This is reflected in the musical's first song title, which is, "Why is he so special?"
Why is he so special? Why can it not be me? Why is he so special? Can't anybody see? His coat is red, mine is dark grey. I can go anywhere, but he has to stay. Why is he so special? Can you please tell me? Why is he so special? Will this always be? Why is he so special? We both can climb a tree. He is so protected, but I can be taken away. So why am I neglected and he can disobey? Why is he so special? Did it not occur? Our only difference is the colour of our fur.
The next day brings more distress when the grey squirrel turns up bang on time at 12 noon to settle things once and for all. He turns up with most of his family and friends to watch what happens. This time, Scamper gets taught a lesson by the grey squirrel with his family and friends. They were all shouting at Scamper. Scamper's brothers decide they are outnumbered and do a fast escape, leaving Scamper on his own to face the music. The grey squirrel forces Scamper to say sorry for what he had said the previous day. A few days pass, when suddenly the grey squirrel turns up and stands in the middle of the footbridge. He tries to talk to Scamper, who is sitting under his favorite horse chestnut tree, nibbling away on a big juicy red conker. After a short while, the grey squirrel tries to tempt Scamper to come and cross the footbridge into the north field, where loads of lovely ripe sweet chestnuts grow. Eventually, after much hesitation, Scamper gives into the temptation and follow the grey squirrel to where they all grow. This involves walking beside the stream, close to where it turns into a wider part and becomes a river. Most of the sweet chestnut trees grow on the bank of the river, where some of them overhang the water. As Scamper is a very scatty young squirrel, he goes straight for the biggest chestnut he can see, which is at the end of an overhanging branch, just above the widest part of the river where fast currents flow down to a weir. In his haste to grab a luscious sweet chestnut, Scamper loses his grip, somehow falling into the water and getting tangled up and trapped in an old discarded fishing line. Scamper thought to himself, "I am going to drown," but the brave grey squirrel finds a way to rescue him and saves Scamper's life. While they are each sitting on the riverbank recovering from their ordeal, the grey squirrel explains to Scamper of some of the fears his family suffer each day, about the pest catcher taking any of them away. Eventually, Scamper goes home for his daily snack, and he is still thinking about the grey squirrel's concerns. Mrs. Redfur, Scamper's mother, is dishing up some of her homemade red conker soup for their afternoon tea. After a little while, Scamper accidentally spills a small drop of soup on his body, yet he could not see where it had splashed on his fur. This gives him a great idea, so he races back to find his new friend the grey squirrel to tell him of his plan to save all the grey squirrels. Scamper explains to his new friend that if all the grey squirrels dye their fur with red conker soup when the pest catcher was due to visit the north field, he will think they are all red squirrels, so they can escape his clutches, and will be free to play in the north field forevermore. The second song of the musical is initially sung by the grey squirrel, as he stands in the middle of the footbridge. The second section of this song is sung by Scamper while sitting under his favorite horse chestnut tree, looking towards his new friend the grey squirrel. The song is Now We Are Best Friends.
Nobody can know how I much love Scamper so. Now that we are best friends. It was just a few days ago that Scamper was my foe, but now we are best friends. We had that big fight, then things turned out right, and now we are best friends. Scamper was giving me hope, at last I can cope, because we are best friends. Just confused, he's certainly amused that we cannot be nor found. He looks up into the trees, then crawls down on his knees all over the muddy ground. Now I really love every new day, and I really must say that on this life now depends.
This is the last bit.
'Cause now we must always stay best friends.
Whilst Scamper is singing, his mother, who is back in the family dray, is reviewing all the things she was taught by her own mother, Grandma Refer. She now wonders why she was told that the grey squirrels were bad creatures, and now she thinks her mother may have got it all wrong. The third and final song in Act 1 is now sung by Scamper's mother, Mrs. Redfur. The song is My Mother Was Totally Wrong. The moral of this first story is, the color of our outer body should make no difference to our daily lives. We are all the same underneath. We must all live together in total harmony, and equal. This ends Act 1. The second act of the musical is The Ginger Tomcat. The setting of the second act of the drama takes place in mid-autumn. Young Scamper is rummaging about and enjoying life, when suddenly he hears a rustling noise among the fallen brown leaves. Eventually, a terrified little creature's head appears. It is a little girl vole. She is not sure whether Scamper is going to hurt her or not, but decides to open up to him, telling him that a nasty ginger tomcat had bitten a piece off her little tail, whilst he tried to attack her. Scamper promises to protect her, and now she feels somewhat safe, but she is still terrified. The fourth song is initially and mostly sung by the little girl vole as she stands among the leaves. The brief second section of this song is sung by Scamper whilst standing near to her. The song is I Am Just a Little Girl Vole. Scamper has a plan to lure the ginger tomcat into a situation so he can teach him a lesson he will never forget. He does this by getting the little vole to sit on a branch of a tree, enticing the tomcat to climb up after her. What the tomcat does not realize is that Scamper has set a trap to spring the branch into action, causing the cat to be rocketed up into the air. Once the plan is complete and ready to put into action, Scamper and the little girl vole sing the next song together. The fifth song is We're Gonna Teach That Tom. Eventually, their plan is put into action, and the tomcat gets trapped up the tree. They then discover that in fact the tomcat is terrified of heights, and he begs them to help him get back down. Unfortunately, he cannot move, he is frozen with fear. After much thinking, Scamper comes up with a brilliant plan to rescue the tomcat, and in doing so, the tomcat actually ends up having great fun sailing back down to earth on an umbrella. After being safe again, the tomcat then promises them both that he will never hurt or terrify any creature ever again. The sixth song is sung by the little girl vole. The song is Because It Is True. The moral of this story is nobody should be bullied by another, causing them stress and fear. This ends Act 2 of the musical. The song Because It Is True was also especially adapted in June 2020 by Martin as an NHS tribute to commemorate their 72nd anniversary, which took place on the 5th of July 2020. Martin also compiled a video slideshow for this special day by changing a few of the song's lyrics. This video can still be viewed on YouTube. The third act of the musical is The Little Christmas Tree. The setting of the third act of the drama takes place in early winter, just a few days before Christmas. Every year just prior to Christmas Eve, all the creatures of the forest gather together to decorate the same big fir tree which grows on the top of a hill on the edge of the forest. As this was Scamper's first Christmas, he was very excited and anxious to help. The trouble was, Scamper being Scamper, he accidentally causes havoc by knocking a lot of the decorations off the big fir tree whilst trying to help. Most of the creatures decide enough was enough and tell Scamper he is not wanted anywhere near the big tree and to go away and not come back. Scamper is very upset by all of this, and he wanders off deep into the forest and walks for what seem like miles. After a very long walk he eventually reaches a very large open clearing in the forest, and then he spots a very small young fir tree, growing all on its own in the middle of the clearing. Scamper falls in love with the baby tree and plans to adopt it as his own little Christmas tree. What Scamper did not realize is that this tiny tree has already been adopted by a little robin. The robin soon shows up and tells Scamper that it belongs to him. Scamper asks the robin if he can borrow it for Christmas Eve, and he wants to decorate it with loads of lovely things. The robin agrees to share it, but just for Christmas. Scamper is thrilled, and together both he and the robin immediately make a start by gathering as many things that they can find to make the little tree Christmassy. In the meantime, the creatures of the forest have now finished all the decorating the big fir tree and are now ready and looking forward to their annual Christmas Eve celebrations. The little robin and Scamper also finish their tree, and whilst Scamper is awaiting for the little robin to return for the evening, he feels very happy and content with what they have achieved together. Scamper decides to sing a song about his new friendship with the robin. The seventh song is sung solo by young Scamper. The song is My Little Friend the Robin. During the night prior to Christmas Eve, a fierce hurricane arrives which hits the entire forest with almighty force, destroying everything in its path, including the big fir tree and all its lovely decor. The creatures of the forest are devastated. They have no tree for their Christmas Eve celebrations. By sheer luck, Scamper's tree has survived, because it was so low to the ground. So as darkness starts to take to the skies on Christmas Eve, all the creatures of the forest are all feeling very dull. Until one of them spot a small twinkle of light in the distance within the destruction of the forest. They all decide to head in the direction of the light, which seems to be drawing them towards it, as if by some kind of magnetism. When they all finally reach the twinkling light and discover it is a fully decorated little Christmas tree, and it belongs to both Scamper and the robin, they cannot believe their luck. More so, they are all overjoyed when they are invited to join in and share the little Christmas tree for their own Christmas Eve celebrations. All the creatures of the forest feel terrible about how they had each rejected Scamper only a couple of days earlier, yet he welcomed them all with open arms without any hesitation or anger. They all wanted to show both Scamper and the robin their love and appreciation. The eighth song is sung by all the creatures of the forest. The song is Scamper Has Saved the Day. Immediately after the eighth song, all the creatures of the forest prepare to disperse, when suddenly the old stag walks to the front of the gathering and begins to sing. The ninth song is a duet sung by the old stag and his dear wife. The song is I Always Remember Christmas. The moral of this story is rejection of others because they do not always fit in or suit everybody else at a given time is not necessarily the right thing to do. This ends Act 3 of the musical. The fourth and final act of the musical is The Sly Fox. This story came third in the People's Book Prize Spring Session 2011. The setting of the fourth act of the drama takes place in early spring, just a few weeks prior to young Scamper's first birthday. One morning Scamper is having one of his usual wandering days on the edge of the stream, down by the footbridge. Suddenly, he spots a pair of reddish-brown pointed ears sticking out of the long grass and wonders what kind of creature they belong to. This creature seems to be shadowing Scamper. Suddenly, the creature fully appears, so Scamper jumps up onto the bottom branch of his favorite horse chestnut tree for safety, just in case. Scamper calls out asking the unknown creature what it is. The creature replies, "I am a red fox, and I control the whole of the South Field, and I control every creature that lives around here. They must all do as I tell them, otherwise there will be trouble, and you Scamper will also do as I tell you." Scamper decides to call him Mr. Fox, and then starts to antagonize him with various comments. The fox then insists Scamper go and tell the Red Fur family that he is now boss of the South Field. He also tells Scamper to gather everybody together for a big meeting at 3 p.m. this afternoon, down by the riverbank, where he will give them all instructions about his rules of the South Field. Eventually, after the fox had gone for his afternoon nap, Scamper decides to ask his friends the gray squirrels for their help. They all eventually come up with a plan to trap the fox and get rid of him. They decide that once the fox is captured, they will take him a long, long way away, so he cannot in any way return and spoil their happy South Field. The 10th song is sung solo by young Scamper. The song is "That Fox is So Sly." The plan that Scamper has hatched up is to build a platform close to the bank of the stream, especially for Mr. Fox to give his speech, so he thinks they are all under his control. What Mr. Fox do not know is, the whole thing is a trap. He will fall through it into a boat, and he will be taken across the water to France. In fact, they will trick him into thinking this is where he is going. The plan works and soon Mr. Fox is on his way. After several days on the water, Mr. Fox is put ashore, and the boat with Scamper and the others return home. Before they set sail, they tell Mr. Fox they will return for him soon, but only if he promises to be good. They have in fact only gone upstream for a few miles, to where the river gets wider and splits into two with an island in the middle. This is where they have in fact dropped the fox off, on the island. They have just been going round and round the island for several days to confuse Mr. Fox. The 11th song is sung by young Scamper and his two brothers. The song is "Round and Round in Circles." All the creatures are very grateful that their South Field is once again safe. The 12th song is sung by all the creatures of the forest. The song is "We Know This." The moral of this story is, nobody should be controlled by another by bossing them into doing things just because they are frightened of the consequences if they do not obey. This ends Act 4 of this musical. There is an optional finale act, which is based upon an unpublished story entitled Scamper's First Birthday Party. There are 2 songs already written for this optional finale act. They are "Let's All Have a Party" and "Do the Birthday Tango." The whole finale act is a typical party mood on stage frenzy by all the players young and old. It is basically a make it up as you go, but with fixed structures and scenes. The song list for the entire musical is as follows. Why Is He So Special? Now We Are Best Friends. My Mother Was Totally Wrong. I Am Just a Little Girl Vole. We're Gonna Teach That Tom. Because It Is True. My Little Friend the Robin. Scamper Has Saved the Day. I Always Remember Christmas. That Fox Is So Sly. Round and Round in Circles. We Know This. Let's All Have a Party. Do the birthday tango. Martin hopes to get this children's musical completed once things get back to some form of normal. In the meantime, if you are interested in hearing more about this children's musical, or you might like to stage it in the future, please get in touch. Kind regards, Martin. His contact email is martin.talbot@live.co.uk.